someone that could be my great love. Right in front of me, I didn't realize you were my dream. So you took me by surprise. Oh yeah. Even in my wildest dreams, I didn't think we were destined to be. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like yeah. When I give you every part of me, I can't believe this is reality. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like yeah. I'm just curious, when did you know you had feelings for me? Maybe somehow we've always known that we have chemistry, but always chasing after someone else. So this took me by surprise. Oh yeah. Even in my wildest dreams, I didn't think we were destined to be. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like yeah. Wanna give you every part of me. I can't believe this is reality. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like yeah.
If I didn't already have these, I would get these.
Even in my wildest dreams, even in my wildest dreams.
It's haul time. Y'all, I cannot tell y'all how excited I am for these books because I spent $6. $6 motherfucking dollars. And I got so many good books, so many books that I could use for a vlog. I have like 3 to 4 possible vlogs that can be planned out between all of the books that I purchased and the books that I checked out. First and foremost, before we get into the checked out books, let's talk about how much money I saved. Look at this little receipt that my library gave me. From the ones that I checked out here, I saved $156. Babe, I love that for me. And the first book that I have in this haul is August Lane by Regina Black. Now, this was the book that made me decide to kind of look a little further into my library because I was so surprised to see this one here. My library has a lot of diverse reads, and I've been to my local libraries, but I haven't been to this particular location, and I didn't realize that they had so many diverse reads. Just going through the aisles and seeing this one firstly and then going through the aisles, I was pleasantly surprised. So I did go ahead and pick this one up. This one is one of the books that we're going to be reading in this vlog today. This one was inspired by Shaughnessy because I saw that she picked this one up in her recent vlog. And mind you, the reason why I really love my library and going to my library, because you guys know that I do have and I do own a lot of books, okay? But I love going to my library because I love picking up books that maybe I'm not in a rush to purchase, but I still want to read them and they're still intriguing to me. And I love my library real bad for those specific reasons. So this book right here, August Lane, Regina Black, Shaughnessy was raving about this book. She was saying how good it was. And I do have one other book by Regina Black and I haven't picked this one up yet. So I was like, let me just see what it's giving. Then the second book that we're going to be reading in this vlog, and y'all, this one is funny because this one is 7-Year Itch by Amy Doss. Okay, I just grabbed this one. There was a new releases section and I did not realize this is the large print edition. I had no idea, like no idea. I just went ahead and went with this one. It is what it is, honestly. Like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Now, y'all, when I tell y'all, as y'all saw in the clips, I gasped when I saw this book. And it's Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. I just picked up Anathema like not too long ago, and I actually have the deluxe edition of this book on the way at some point whenever it releases. I think it's going to be releasing at the end of this month or something like that, or end of this year. And Not to say that I didn't think that they had like dark gothic, dark romances, dark themed books in the library, but I don't know. When I think of the library, I think about like fluffy romances, maybe a little bit of spice here and there, but this, I was very pleasantly surprised to see this in there. And that's why I was saying like they have a very good selection and they have a very diverse selection. I had to pick this one up. And so I was thinking how fun would it be to do a vlog with this book. Again, I wasn't anticipating being in a rush to pick this one up because I was waiting for the deluxe one to come in the mail. And so I went ahead and picked this one up. And then I stumbled across this one in the new section. And this one is called The Gothic Town by Emily Carpenter. This one is a blind pickup for me. I saw these two and I was like, this would be like the perfect little duo to put into a video, like a gothic, dark gothic kind of vlog. I would say the only downside about checking out books from the library is that I won't be able to tab these. So that's going to be interesting because I do pretty much tab every book that I pick up. Like every single book that I have that I read, I'm tabbing it up. And I think like tabbing up books is like just as fun as reading the books. And then last but certainly not least, for the checked out books that I got these two, Emily Henry's Funny Story and King of Wrath by Anna Wong. I think that this one is all over Booktok and Booktube. Emily Henry, on the other hand, she's everywhere. Like everyone loves her. I did not love Beach Read, but I figured this would be a fun, cute little duo to do like a reading popular Booktok books from the library. So I went ahead and picked these two up. But those are the 6 books that I checked out. Now jumping into the 6 books that I purchased. Okay, y'all. All of these books were $1 a piece. Okay, and this is why I'm saying y'all need to check out your local library if you haven't already. Even if you're on a book buying budget and like you want to see what you can get close by, the library is a good resource for that. So first and foremost, the book that made me want to buy more books while I was there was The Wife Before by Shanora Williams. Y'all, I was so shook that I saw this in there. And the fact that it was only $1. This made me so excited. Like, you know how like when you go to a thrift, whether you're thrifting for books or thrifting for like clothes or just thrifting for anything, and you find that one good piece, that one good thing, and you're like, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready. Let's see what else they got in here. Like I feel like the juju, the thrifting jujus are flowing. You know what I'm saying? That's literally what this was giving when I saw this. I literally picked this up with the swiftness. I was like, it's going home with me immediately. So these are Ascender's book 1 and 2, and apparently there are like 5 books in the series. I believe that this is a YA novel. These books take place after the passing of teenagers, and they're kind of in between. They're like in this in-between space. When they pass, they go to this academy. And I'm not really entirely sure what happens after that, but I was very intrigued by this. Again, spooky season is behind us. I know I suck because I was actually going to read these for Halloween, but plans changed. But I think this would still be cool to do a little vlog with these 2 books. And then if I like these 2 books, then I can go ahead and pick up the series. But these were $1 a piece. The next book is called The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. Look at this cover. And the thing that intrigued me about this, the main character, she's a little girl in this book, and she has these powers that everybody is like afraid of. The little blurb on the back, there's not much of a synopsis, which I actually love because I can go into this blind and kind of questioning what's going on and kind of not really know what to expect, which is something that I'm really looking forward to. But it says, every morning, Melanie waits in her cell to be collected for class. When they come for her, Sergeant Parks keeps his gun pointed at her, while 2 of his people strap her into the wheelchair. She thinks they don't like her. She jokes that she won't bite, but they don't laugh. Then I picked up another one that was kind of circulating on Booktok at some point, and this one is called The Last Flight by Julie Clark. I remember seeing like mixed things about this one, but again, it was only $1, so I added this to my bag. Then we have Between the Lines by Sarah R. Chapman. Now, this one is actually a Reveal Romance book box edition. It was at one point a part of that because of the signature and then this little emblem that's right here. That's kind of like their signature. I had their subscription box at some point. I will be doing a separate video at some point on my review on that book box, but spoiler alert, I don't have that subscription box anymore. But when I saw that this was in there, I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I love the cover. So this was a cover buy for me. And again, it was only $1. So those are all of the books that I picked up from my local library that I purchased. I feel like that's money well spent, and I will never regret buying books from my local library. Like I said, this is going to be the book that we're going to be reading in this vlog. I already kind of sort of started it. I'm only like 10 pages in, honestly. But I'm curious to see with this book if the large print is going to make me read faster. Like I said, I didn't mean to get it in the large print. I figured this one would be a fun one for us to start with for this video. Maybe we'll pick up another one after this one is done, or maybe we'll just read this one. Who knows? But let's continue reading. Okay, y'all, so I am about 68 pages into 7-Year Itch by Amy Dawes, and y'all, this is either going to be like a smooth 3-star, or I'm gonna end up DNFing this. And the only reason why I say that is because it's not bad, but it's not great either. So far, like I said, I'm 68 pages in. Some of the writing is a little bit cringy, like the dialogue and the inner monologue between the characters, or like the inner thoughts of the main character. In another vlog that I did, I mentioned where like the male character, it seems like you can tell it's written by a woman, and that's what this is giving. It has been making me like, oh, haha, that's funny, but like nothing too crazy. I'm not super invested in the characters. Like I find myself kind of like getting distracted and like not really caring in moments, and then in other instances I'm like, oh, okay, you know, this is a smooth thing or whatever. But that's where I'm at so far. I do like her writing. Like her writing is very digestible. It's very fast paced, but it's just not, it's not grabbing me. It's not pulling me. So I'm gonna read about to like 100 pages and decide if I want to continue this book or not. So I'm gonna read like this much more to see if I still want to continue reading this book. If not, I'm just gonna move on to the next book, because this just really isn't my style of book. It's very lustful, very spicy, but spicy unintentionally spicy, or unintentionally spicy. Like there's no intentions behind the story just yet, and that's kind of like my thoughts so far. It's okay. It's okay. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's also not like the worst book in the world. I just am like, right now I'm leaning more towards not interested than I am interested, if that makes any sense. So that is where we're at. We're gonna continue reading and go from there.
Time to pull the drop tops out. Summer nights, it's a vibe, yeah. We've been keeping it in the house. Netflix and chillin', I GDM'in', yeah. Didn't wanna share my love till I found someone.
It's first thing in the morning, and I tried to pick this book back up from last night, and I just couldn't. And there's too many books on my TBR for me to just try to sit here and like force myself through this book. The book was just very cringy, I'm not gonna lie. And I haven't had that experience with the book. And I can deal with like a little bit of cringiness, but it was a lot cringy. It was a lot cringy in a lot of the book, a lot of the portions of the book that I just couldn't look past. And then on top of that, like, I just wasn't feeling it, if I'm being honest. This is just not the kind of book for me. It's kind of giving, like I said last night, the same thing as the other book that I DNF'd, where it was just too much lustfulness and just very surface level, and it just not something that grabs my attention. There was a part in the writing where she was like, insert evil villain laugh. And then he was talking about, if you don't like spoilers of a book, these aren't really necessarily spoilers, as they were all within like the first like 75 pages of the book, but they are quotes directly from the book, and I'm going to give a little bit of context about each quote just so that it kind of makes sense. So they were getting ready to take a trip, and the main character, he was like, hey, can I bring my cat? Because, you know, he just loves his cat. And then one of the brothers responds and says, begging to bring your own pussy to Mexico. And then the main character responds back and says, shut the fuck up. And then the brother then says, just saying, people are gonna think you're fucking that cat the way you're being so weird with it. I'm sorry. And then in his inner thoughts, he says, gives me the ick. Now, what man you know says that? And then here's another another thing. So this is coming from the main male character's point of view. It's saying, he says, or in his head he says, if Dakota hadn't gotten me kicked out of Lexan, then maybe I would have a nice little submissive +1 on this open seat next to me, someone who could call me master when we get back to our room at night. Someone who's a lady in the sheets and a freak in the sheets. Bro. It was just so cringy. It was just very cringy. So I don't think that this is the book for me. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one down because I am not a fan of reading books that I don't like. Okay, it doesn't happen very often, but we're going to be putting this one down as I don't think that this book is for me. I will say that I do like the author's writing. I do think that maybe another book could be redeemable, but for right now, we're gonna go ahead and put this one down, and we're gonna pick up Regina Black's book because I'm really excited to get into that one. Hey guys, just checking in. So we are currently reading August Lane. I am about 120 pages in. We've had to adult a little bit. Okay, so I've not been able to get to this book as much as I wanted to, but the one thing I will say is that this book is going so much fucking better than the last book. Oh shit, let me see. I can't put this down. Okay, anyways, it's going so much better than the last book. When I tell you I was pulled into this story, This book follows August and Luke, and it's a second chance romance. They're both musicians, and that's all I'm really going to say about this so far. I want to get further into the story before I give a general idea of like what the book is about, but I am loving this book so far. We're still kind of getting to know each character. We kind of keep going back and forth between the past and the present and different timelines and things of that nature. So we're learning the characters, their past, their current, and kind of catching up with them as they sort things out. And like I said, I am loving this book. I'm thinking that this one is going to be a solid 4.5, maybe even a 5-star, but definitely a strong 4.5, nothing less, unless something like drastic changes, which I'm not speaking that into existence. I am going to continue reading. I am so loving this, and I'm so glad I decided to put that other book down. That one just wasn't for me. Quick side note on that, I do have another book by Amy Doss that I'm going to try. It's a soccer romance. I'll put a little picture of it up here on the screen, but I'm going to try that one and see, because I like that author's writing. I just didn't like the storyline, if that makes any sense. I didn't care about the characters or like what they were doing and things of that nature. So we'll try to give that author another chance at another time, but for now we're going to continue reading this book, and I will probably check back in once I'm done with the book. Okay, goodbye now.
Babe, when I saw you for the first time, I knew we were destined to meet. 'Cause my knees went weak, my stomach went tight. Stay there, don't leave. Pull myself together, babe, I'm so shy. Trying to find something to say. Whatever I say needs to be right to woo you my way. Damn, I feel trapped, 'cause now you're everything I see. One look was all that it took. Then you left your mark on me. Now I got everything to lose, 'cause you're the only one I choose. 'Cause no one makes me feel the way you do. The way, yeah, you turn me on. Kiss me, babe, I want you to. My lonely days are gonna go anywhere with you. I'll go anywhere with you. Let go of fear, make it.
All right, y'all, so let's get into the review portion. It looks crazy because I have the camera up so high. But let's get into the review portion of the 2 books that we read in this vlog. Jumping right into the first one and knocking out the first one, 7 Year Itch by Amy Doss. This book was not for me. I did end up DNFing it. It just wasn't for me. It was very cringy. I know that this one is supposed to be like lighthearted and not something that you're supposed to take seriously, but it just was not for me. But this one followed Calder and Dakota, and I don't know, it just was really cringy. It was very insta-lusty. Like I said, I don't think that this was supposed to be something that was supposed to be taken too seriously by any means necessary, but I also think that there's a way to do it where it could still be entertaining, and this just wasn't done in that way. Not for me specifically. Some of the like the spicier dialogue, especially being so early on, but even so, the spicier dialogue, it was kind of cringy for me in a way. And it was just something that I couldn't like get past to where I could continue reading the book. It wasn't hitting for me, because there are some books that are lighthearted and like hallmarky. This wasn't necessarily giving that for me, but you may like this if you like spicy, lighthearted, don't have to think too much about it kinds of things. But it just wasn't hitting for me. Now the second book that we read in this vlog, okay, August Lane by Regina Black. Y'all, this book was so good. The complete opposite experience. I'm glad I decided to DNF that book to jump into this one, because this book was so fucking good. It was so fucking good. So this one follows August and Luke, and both of them are country stars. They met when they were teenagers, and this is a second chance romance. Luke, he's a one-hit wonder, and the one-hit wonder of that song, the one that he made like his biggest hit, the one that kept him in the game for as long as it did, was not written by him, and he was not honest about that when he got his big break. He did not disclose that it was written by somebody else. The writer being August, who is the girl that he fell in love with when he was a teenager, the girl that he broke her heart, the girl that he hurt, the girl that he has unfinished business to deal with. And so he's reached a place in his career where he does have to go back to his hometown, face not only a lot of the traumatic things that happened to him there, the mistakes that he made as an adult, the things that he ran away from, but also facing the biggest piece of it all, which is the woman that he fell in love with and never quite fell out of love with. This book, the thing I really loved about this book is we're following 3 different timelines. I loved the timeline. It was seamlessly done. Regina Black's writing is so amazing. I did not get confused by the multiple of timelines. This is the first book that I've read that I've had more than 2 timelines. Normally the books that I've read so far have been 2 timelines. This one had 3, and I was not confused. It was done very well, very seamlessly, and I loved that. I loved all of the layers of the story. One thing about me is I love a layered story. I love when there's romance, but then there's also things like trauma, and each individual character, every character in this book, the direct characters, the side characters, all of them had their stories, and all of them had their things, and we got to see it all. We got to see glimpses of everybody appropriately, if that makes any sense. Like, of course, the story is about the 2 main characters, which is Luke and August, but there are also other characters in the story that we get to see, we get to have answers for, we get to have clarity on. This book navigates how complicated it can be, the journey, the decision, the impacts to you, the impacts to the people around you, the hurt people kind of thing that surrounds forgiveness. And I loved everything about the story. I love the way that it came together at the end. I love the way that Regina closed out certain things about the story, the way that she answered certain questions about different characters. And there's a lot of backstory to every character. There's a lot of things that happened to these characters that they still carry with them and cause them to make bad decisions and hurt people, hurt their loved ones. We got to see them heal. We got to see them, struggle a little bit with some things that they are still carrying with them. And I loved every bit of this story. If you have not read this book, now is your sign to pick this up. I will say the one thing that I hated about reading this book was that I could not tab it, okay, because it's a library book, as you can see. And there were so many good quotes. There were so many good moments. There were so many good things that I would have loved to tab. And I will also say too, there were some parts where it took me a couple days to get through it because of adulting and things of that nature, having to work and stuff like that. And so like I'm very forgetful. And so the tabs, I don't know what it is about physically tabbing. a section or tabbing a paragraph or tabbing a detail of a story that helps me remember it so much more. I don't even highlight or underline or anything or put any commentary in my books. I simply just tab it, and that action alone helps me remember so much more. So there were certain things that like I had to go back and refer to, and it was hard for me to find where it was because I couldn't tab. So I probably will be getting a physical copy of this at some point, but I love that book. I gave it a 4.5 star. Here is my review. I've left a review on Amazon and Goodreads. If you are a reader and you don't review your books, I highly recommend doing so that we can get more attention and more eyes and more activity surrounding these books, especially books by Black authors. But yeah, guys, those are my final thoughts of the 2 books that we read. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, like and comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy reading, y'all.